All right, this is part 2 of the vector portrait assignment, and this is what I have so far on my daughter's portrait. Again, you are doing a picture of yourself, and this picture could be recent or a picture from a while ago, like a baby photo, or when you are younger. You get to choose that one. So this next part, we're going to focus more on details, so making things like the eyes and the nose and simplifying those things. So here's the face. If I zoom back out, you'll be able to see my swatches again too. So I have this is the pupils and the eyes there. We also need the whites of the eyes. I didn't grab that as my swatch yet. So I'll just go ahead and make a new swatch here. Make sure I'm on the right layer. Make sure it's unlocked. There we go. So you may have to unlock layers. We're going to say Control C, Control V. And let's just put this over here off to the side. I'm going to grab that eye color. And again, I may have to zoom in. You'll kind of see, so the eye color here, it's kind of showing as a gray, which is fine. If you zoom in even more, sometimes that can help with pinpointing colors. But chances are it's not going to be pure white. The highlight might, this highlight's pretty close to pure white, but it won't be perfect. We'll just get it to about there is good. I think that kind of off-white is just fine. It's going to look fine. So just trust the process. Okay, now I'm going to do the whites of the eyes first because that would come first. Then on top, we will have the pupil slash iris. Her pupils and irises are kind of combined in this photo, so we'll just kind of probably end up combining them a little bit, but just take it color by color, layer by layer. I'm going to go to 150% here, and we're going to make a new layer. I have all my other layers turned off except for the neck, so I don't need it, but I'll go ahead and do a new layer here. We'll call it eyes. And I'll grab my pen tool. So from here, we're just going to do the whites of the eyes. I'm just going to do the whole eye. So that way I know that I have my bases covered. Again, if you get stuck, you can just drop the opacity down a little bit. If you're not sure where to go next, maybe drop mine down a little more. Following along the shape of the whole eye there until you connect back. I'll do the same thing. I'll bring up that opacity now. Same thing with this one. And I'm clicking and holding to follow the shape of the eye. Okay, there's that. Okay. Now I'll go back to my layers. I can turn those off. And I actually probably call it whites of eyes. There we go. Do a new layer. We're going to turn off the whites of eyes layer. And now we'll do her pupils slash iris combination. She has really dark brown eyes, so they kind of blend together. I might make some artistic adjustments there. But we'll start off with the whole shape here. Again, I'm going to follow along. It's okay if it's white right now. We can change it. Trying to follow along as close as I can. We'll change it now. So I'll just go over here. I believe it was this one down here, right here. There we are. Whoop. Okay, that looks good. And we'll do the same thing for the other eye on the other side. So carefully following, tracing along the pupil here. Chances are you'll have to make some adjustments with the eyes anyways. There's the whites of the eyes, they're under, so I can already tell definitely need some adjustments, but that's okay. It looks kind of freaky right now, but it won't forever. Turn those off. I also need the whites of the eyes for this one. I'm gonna just put it on, or not the whites of the eyes, sorry, the highlights, I should call it. I'm gonna call it highlights of eyes. And this one we'll call pupils. Okay, so the highlights are the little white areas. And this is where you can you could use the pen tool, or you could also even use the brush. So I'll show you with the brush here. I'm going to grab that color first of all. So it's just a very light white color. Here's my brush. Now the brush right now that I have is pretty large. So if I went in and did that, it's a little too big. So we're going to go into window and then brushes. And this is where you can do details like your eyelashes, or if you have other things that you want to draw instead of use the pen tool on, you would be allowed to do it with this. So in your brush panel, we're going to click new brush. We'll just click OK for now. And then here's where you can change the size. I'm going to make this pretty small because I can always make it bigger. You don't really have to mess around with this too much, especially for just a basic line. We'll click OK. And now here is where I could go in. It's very tiny, but I'll just kind of draw in kind of tracing over the shape. There we go. Now you can use the pen tool for this. Let's put it back here so it's a little better. I definitely need to adjust those pupils. So I'm going to turn off, let's turn off the white. Actually, you know what? Let's adjust the whites because I think the whites of the eyes are what's also throwing this off a little bit. Or, you know what? No, I think we just need a little bit larger of an area with the dark area, or maybe even to add like the darkness of her eyelashes. Maybe let's do the eyelashes next. We'll see if that helps. All right, so we'll call this eyelashes. It's almost like she's wearing eyeliner, but it's just her eyelashes. So I'll turn these off. Let's just see how this goes. And here's another one where, you know, with the eyelashes, that may make more sense to use the brush instead of the pen tool. But for now, I'm just going to use the pen tool. Okay. Now, since this is more of like a line and less of a shape, I can also go into my properties here. I can make sure my fill is off, and I will turn on my stroke, which is the color of the eyelashes here. So we can even just grab it from here. Okay. Whoops. Swap those. No fill, stroke. Let's see if it'll let me add it. Something like a darker blue color. That's fine. We'll just do it that way. And then here is where you can actually like fill that in a little bit, like so thicken it up. And sometimes that looks good, sometimes not. Personally, I actually really don't like that. So I'm going to go back and I'm just going to do a shape just for this part. It may make sense to do that, but in this instance, to me, I don't really like the shape of that. Here we go. I'll go back a little bit. We're going to fill that with the color. Okay. Okay, that's a little better, I think. I'll do the same thing with the other one. So just the eyelashes, and her eyes are really squinty here. I'll turn the opacity down. I may even have to zoom in a little more. That's okay. Okay, layers. Whoops, and I was drawing this on the wrong layer. That happens. So if that ever happens where you're drawing it on the wrong layer, you can select more than one layer by just using the selection tool here. Go ahead and click on that one. I'll click on this one too. And then I'll click Control C. And then I'm going to put it and make sure. Oh, it's just the one that I'm missing. This one actually. So never mind. We'll just copy this one. So Control C. And then I'll make sure it's on the eyelashes layer. I'll line it up. And then I'll turn that one off and we'll delete it from this layer. I'll just press delete on my keyboard. There we go. So I don't want to mess them up too much. Okay, now we're going to put it all together. Let's see how we're doing. All right, so this one, I think I need to edit. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say arrange, bring to front. Make sure that's good and that the opacity is back up. That's probably why it wasn't showing up right away. Cool. Line it up with where it needs to be. Okay, now comes the adjustments. I'm going to go in and really adjust these layers and make sure everything looks good. So I'm definitely going to be adjusting the whites of the eyes. I'll click on those. I'm going to grab my direct selection tool and double click on those anchors. That will let you adjust. I'm going to pull this below the pupil and then I'm going to adjust the pupil. So there's no white there. I'm going to pull this up. It's already looking better. Okay, same with this one. We'll do the same thing. So click on it. When you double click, that will let you adjust. Go all the way up on that one too. And over on here. Oops. You can also adjust the handles. It's a little white showing through here. You may have to adjust. And that's where you really have to turn things on and off. Like there's no white in the photo. So I'll just remove that white. I don't think there was white in there either on this side. Yep, nope, not on the other side either. So on this one, pull it over. So you're really just paying attention to what's in the photo. It's really hard to do that sometimes, to ignore your brain, because your brain's like, no, there's white there, and really there's not. Okay, so that tells me I have to extend out these larger shapes a little bit. Oops, double click. There you go. a little better. Okay, turn off that so you can see it a little more. So I have a little adjustment that I need to do here. Maybe pull down that. That's not too bad. Okay, let's look at everything together now. Now these layers are on top of my eyelashes and everything, so here's where I'm going to have to click on the top one. I'm going to go down the whites of the eyes and highlight all of these, and then we're going to just simply drag them above. Okay, so now they're all in the right order. That's not too bad. I feel like this eye needs a little adjustment. So now I could go in and turn those layers off. Oops, turn that layer back on. And let's see with the eyes here what I could do. And I'm kind of missing this line here. I could add that line. So maybe we'll just add that to my eyelash layer. I'm going to try and add that with just my brush tool. So go ahead and just kind of draw a line in here. Whoops, could do a little better than that. Now we're still simplifying, so you don't necessarily have to copy everything. Let's see how that looks. That might look kind of silly. I don't know. That's not too bad. I guess I could play around with it. The color is definitely off, so I'm going to change the color of that crease line. So this color here is actually more of a gray if I grab the color from there. All right, we don't want it to fill. We actually want it to just be a stroke, so we'll turn off that stroke or that fill. Let's see if it'll let me add it. There it is. All right. So there's my stroke. I'll do the same thing with this one. It'll let me. Make sure I have the same color. We have to just redraw it too. It might be faster. Okay, that's better. It kind of blends in, but I'm going to go ahead and turn all those layers back on. So we have the lines in there now. We'll show it better. Yeah, that looks better. I'm going to adjust that shape there. Whoops, exit out of isolation mode. Make sure you have the direct selection tool. I was on the wrong tool, that's why. Bring that down. Better. Okay, I'm going to say file save for now. So I've shown you like using the brush tool, making some details, turning things on and off. I'm going to show you the nose next. So let's turn all these off again. Okay, the nose here. Now the nose, we're just simplifying like maybe the sides of the nose, the nostrils, and then you can pretty much leave it at that. You can add maybe some lines on the sides of the nose, but that's not necessary. So for the nose, we're going to do a new layer here. We'll call nose. And I'm going to go ahead and first do the nostrils. So making these curved, almost little half moon shapes. There we go. Make sure they're filled with the right color, which is going to be that darker skin tone color. That's the mouth color. Here's this one here. Here we go. That looks good. Next one. Click and hold. Okay. And then I'll do the sides probably. I may even just try that with my brush tool. You see how it kind of like cleans it up for you too with the line work? That really blends in on there. Okay, now let's turn it all on again. Let's see how this looks. Not bad. I'm actually going to adjust this a little bit, I think. So here's another thing that you can try. The cool thing is with the brush tool is you can actually then edit the points on the brush too. So just like a path. You know, instead of doing that, I think I'm just going to redraw it. It's going to be easier. So press delete on that. Whoops. Make sure you grab the whole thing and delete it. There we go. Let's try that again. Brush tool. Much better. Okay. So we're going to zoom back out. Let's see where we're at here. And it's starting to look more like her. This is looking pretty good. So next I would move on to the mouth. And then I can move on to, you know, more details. I was going to adjust the neck here too, but I'll zoom out even more so we can see the whole thing. Eventually, what's going to happen is we're going to delete that bottom layer and you're going to add a background layer. So at this time, I'm just going to quick show you how to basically wrap up this project. So when we're done, we're going to add a background. And so we'll just imagine that we're done here. Okay. Obviously I'm not. I need to add her mouth. I need to make some adjustments. I might add a little bit to her hair, but so far this looks pretty good. So to add a background, right now I have my artboard turned off. If I go to view and then, whoops, if you have artboards on, you'll just click hide artboard and then it'll hide it for you. So it's just like this empty, vast area. Technically, this is all transparent. So we're going to go in and grab a shape. You can either grab like an ellipse or a polygon, a star, a rectangle. I'm just going to do an ellipse for now. We'll do a circle. I'll hold down Shift and drag. And then from here, I can choose a color. I'll do that in my properties. It's really big, and of course it's covering it up, but we'll send it back. That's where paying attention to your layers is a good idea. So I'll just right click on that shape. We'll say arrange and send to back. It'll let me. Oh, and it's on the other layer. Let's just do Control C on that. We're going to do a new layer. I'll bring that one below everything, and then we'll do Control V. Okay, I'm going to delete that original one on the nose layer. We'll press delete on the keyboard. There we go. So if that ever happens to you, it happens all the time to me, feel free to just put it on a new layer, just copy and paste and move it around. Okay. I didn't realize it was on the top layer. All right, and then from here I can adjust the color. I really don't like that color actually, so we're going to adjust it under my properties. Go to my fill. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking like, I feel like she always looks really good in kind of oranges or reds or something. So maybe like a red background or a really dark red background. Or yeah, actually that's not too bad for now. And or maybe even blue. Blue might be kind of cute. Let's do like a navy blue. Again, you can change this anytime, but from here, so we'll just pretend I'm done. You could add other stuff here too if you want to add like other illustrations or if you want to sign it, like feel free to, take your pen tool or your brush tool and do some kind of signature or design. Like I could like do my signature. I don't know. That was my signature. I'll just go back on that. But you can add lots of other things to kind of make it more your own. Feel free to also add a stroke. Like right now I have a stroke on this one. You kind of see it on my box. See how it's getting bigger? Kind of ties in with the colors. So feel free to play around with that. We'll just say that I'm done. I'm going to say File, Export. So this is how you're going to export it when you're finished. We're going to say Export As. And we're going to save it as a PNG because we want it to have transparency around the outside, especially if you used a circle. So call it what you need to call it. We're going to make sure it's high, 300 PPI. Click OK. And now we're going to take a look at the finished image. There it is. Again, it's not done, but this is what it will look like when you actually upload it. So this is what we're looking for. It should be flat. There's not a ton of shading, but it still looks like you, hopefully. You were following the photo as kind of your reference. Once again, if you're having issues with colors, like I was having a few issues there, feel free to adjust those. Like the neck, I know I'm going to adjust the color on. I just feel like it looks a little too dark. It looks kind of strange. Like she's got this weird thing underneath her head. So you get to decide like the artistic license. You get to make those choices. And that's what being a designer and artist is all about, is learning how to make those choices in a way that makes sense for what you're trying to convey. Like you're just trying to convey a message, which is your portrait. So feel free to play around with the colors and adjust those as needed and have some fun with it. All right, enjoy.